Speaker, last week this government had an opportunity to make Bill 65 truly about school safety. The Liberals had the opportunity to work with us to protect our children from school bus blow-bys, a vital initiative put forward by my colleague from Chatham-Kent-Essex. They chose instead to say no and place partisan politics over the safety of our children.
Hear, hear.
Speaker, will the minister explain why the Liberal government believes the safety of our children on school buses should wait?
Good question.
Minister of Transportation.
Thanks very much, Speaker. I will repeat this morning what I said last week regarding this, both in this chamber and to media outside. We want to make sure at the Ministry of Transportation that as we move forward and continue to bring in enhancements or improvements to help all users of our roads, including our most vulnerable, including students themselves, Speaker, we will want to make sure that fundamentally, particularly as it relates to technology, that we're going to find a way to get it right, Speaker. But again, what I said last week in this chamber in response to Bill 65 is that that member and the Conservative caucus knows that they've had multiple opportunities at committee and, frankly, Speaker, during debate here at first and second reading to be supportive, generally speaking, with the thrust of Bill 65. And repeatedly, both here in the chamber and at committee, Speaker, they have chosen instead to use administrative techniques to filibuster the legislation and to delay its implementation. That's unfortunate, but I certainly look forward to the follow-up and the third question here this morning.
Supplementary.
This is so disappointing. Disappointing to students.
Pretty sad.
Disappointing to parents.
Pretty sad.
Disappointing for Ontario. Instead of choosing to take action against school bus blow-bys, this Liberal government chose partisan roadblocks and delay, and the typical Liberal call for study and review. Speaker, every day there are more than 2 blow-bys per bus in Mississauga alone.
Time for action.
Will the minister tell us why this isn't a priority for his government?
That's a good question.
Minister.
So, Speaker, that member knows full well that currently there is nothing in any law that prevents the use of this particular technology on a school bus. And in fact, there are multiple municipalities that have spoken to us about launching pilots, and in fact, I believe some have, Speaker. But again, fundamentally, what this is, and we saw this start last week with this member and his leader, Patrick Brown, Speaker, it is a tactical maneuver. Sorry.
I'm just going to ask you to refer to just the leader of the opposition, title or writing, please.
Thanks very much, Speaker. So as I was saying, this member and his leader, Mr. Brown, at the end of the day, Speaker, this is a tactical maneuver because they are embarrassed, and rightly so, Speaker. Fundamentally, at committee last week, we saw that this particular member and the Conservative caucus introduced hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of administrative amendments to the legislation designed specifically to block its passage. They're trying to make themselves look good, Speaker. It's not going to work.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
His answer was fake news, Speaker.
Yep.
While last week's opportunity has passed, we're going to give the minister and his Liberal members one more chance to do what's best for students' school bus safety today. Our leader, Patrick Brown, wrote all 3 House leaders today, reaffirming that there is no monopoly on a good idea. And with that, we want to acknowledge the NDP for supporting us on this important safety initiative. Speaker, will the minister direct his Liberal members to right this wrong at committee today and vote to protect our children from school bus blow-bys today?
No more blow-bys.
Minister.
So, Speaker, as I've said repeatedly, the safety of school children, the safety of all of our vulnerable road users is a top priority for the ministry. In fact, Speaker, that's why we introduced Bill 65. And literally at every turn, during in-debate and at committee, that member and his leader, Mr. Brown, the leader of the official opposition, have repeatedly sought ways to actually slow down the passage of the legislation. They realized that it would be an embarrassing situation for them for this to have become public, as it did last week, Speaker, that they literally had 300+ amendments, only one of which dealt with this specific issue, but literally over 300 street by street by street, including, Speaker, Avenue Road just outside of Allenby Public School, where representatives from that school came to committee to let that member and his leader know that it was important to move forward with Bill 65. It was reprehensible behavior, Speaker. The public is not fooled. We'll continue to get the job done right, but they should help us pass Bill 65. Thanks very much.